Elon Musk has an open invitation to Toyota today over at Twitter. Well, his favorite place to be. Sawyer Merritt was talking about his experience with driving the BZ4X in wintertime, or at least in a chilly morning. And it doesn't look good for the BZ4X. It's a great vehicle if you just drive it around town. If you have to leave town, it's an absolute no-buy. Elon Musk says Toyota should join the NACS coalition. That's a North American charging standard. Toyota currently uses a CCS charging, but that doesn't mean there are more CCS chargers. In fact, there's, at least in America, probably 2-to-1 supercharger to CCS abundance out there. Tesla's raking in the money. They're laughing right now because General Motors has joined the NACS coalition. So did Ford. So they're all bandwagoning together. They're North American companies. Stellantis is probably the next one to fall just because they're traditional North American. Not Stellantis, but of course, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Toyota's the next big domino to fall behind Stellantis. Obviously, they sell more vehicles into Stellantis. And then the Koreans would be the next big domino to fall. I think Honda might actually get in before we know it because we know Honda teams up with General Motors with developing the battery electric vehicles, so they could be jumping on the bandwagon. Let me know down below, do you want Toyota to use Tesla's North American charging standard? Would you be more interested in buying a Toyota if they could just go to Tesla superchargers and charge up? I think I would be. I think every North American car company who's going to be making EVs, which is pretty much all of them, should be considering adopting the standard. One ring to rule them all, one charger to rule them all, one port to rule them all. That's what we need right here to make this EV revolution an easier pill to swallow for those still struggling to get on board. So here we are. Here's a supercharger page, over 45,000 global superchargers. And in 15 minutes, you can recharge up to 200 miles. We know the BZ4X can't do that. Now, just because the BZ4X could adopt this doesn't mean its battery technology and software is going to allow it to charge that fast. Okay, we need next generation batteries and software from Toyota in order for that to happen. And we'll talk about that today. We'll go over to the spreadsheet because I went down like a deep, dark dungeon to fill out that spreadsheet this morning. So check out the superchargers here. If you had this network available to you, would you just get a Tesla? But if you can charge it on a Ford or a Chevy, then let the best EV win. And I think Elon even said that this might not be best for the company, but honestly, if Tesla just stops making vehicles, their infrastructure is there around and they're laughing their way to the bank because they can overcharge, especially non-Tesla vehicles if they wanted to charge on their network. Here's a spreadsheet that I'm still recovering from. It's not finished. I really don't understand some of the numbers Toyota was coming at here. So this past week, Toyota announced their battery electric vehicle vision and their progress with batteries. So it all starts with the BZ4X. That's what we're currently on. And we know its limitations. If you don't, you've been living under a rock. It's not a good electric vehicle in the sense of range and charging. It's fine with acceleration. It's fine with build quality. And it's probably going to last forever due to the fact that Toyota has completely nerfed the recharging capabilities of that vehicle, as well as the range of it. So what they're going to do in 2026 is come out not only with a new battery, but with a completely new platform. And this will start with a brand new Lexus vehicle, probably a new flagship vehicle for them. Maybe they call it the LS or something. Maybe they redesign the LS and this is the new LS, but this is a battery that's going to start it all for them. And it's going to be prismatic shaped, unlike Tesla's, which are cylindrical. It's going to be single polar. It's still going to be nickel, cobalt, manganese, and start production 2026. It'll have double the driving range of the BZ4X. So 504 miles of EPA range or over 1,000 kilometers of WLTP range. It will also cost less per mile to get there. We just don't know the battery size, the kilowatt hours that Toyota is claiming here. All that they say is, hey, it'll have double the range of our current model. That means it could have double the battery pack capacity, which is extremely unlikely because that would be like 140 plus kilowatt hour battery. More than likely, it's around 100 kilowatt hour battery. So we're seeing some huge gains regardless. So massive improvement in density and pack cost reduction. It will charge much faster as well. It looks to be on the same ballpark as, let's say, the Koreans with their 350 kilowatt charger, their 800 volt system, which does 10 to 80% in about 18 minutes. So we're in the same ballpark there, but we got to wait 3 more years, and it'll be only on a Lexus initially, but they're going to ramp up very, very quickly. They'll have over 1.5 million EVs on this new platform by 2030. So they'll ramp up quick. The pros to this is range and charge. However, it is still based off of current lithium-ion technology, which is combustible. It'll still suffer from cold weather temperatures, which will reduce its charging and range. Now, the other next generation battery will be their mass production battery, and this is going to be helping vehicles get a lot cheaper here. So this is going to be using the bipolar technology that they use on their nickel metal hydride batteries on their Hybrid Max powertrains. It should come out in 2026 to 2027. It's kind of up in the air, as are the future battery packs here. But this battery pack, the performance model, is 100% coming in 2026. So this bipolar LFP battery will have 20% better range than the BZ4X, which gives us 300 miles of range. Great. Bravo. Of course, that's front wheel drive model. The pack cost, though, is going to be way less per mile than what we currently have. It's a 40% cost reduction, which roughly gets us, if the current pack, and I estimated this based off of the average kilowatt hour cost, for a battery pack. So if the BZ4X battery pack costs around $10,000, then this LFP bipolar battery pack will cost $6,000. So just from that alone, we'll have a $4,000 cost reduction in batteries. And then they'll also have the smaller drive units, the more efficient semiconductors. They're also going to have the new platform that uses a gigapress. And also having software-defined vehicles in the future should reduce the development time and therefore the cost of these vehicles as well. So just because a battery pack costs less doesn't mean everything else is going to cost more. All the other costs associated with the car should also go down. But since it's LFP, charging will be kind of dead on with where the current technology is with the NCM batteries, but it will be very affordable. It is going to be safe. These things don't blow up. They don't catch fire, and they don't have thermal runaway like current batteries. They have an extremely long lifespan. You can recharge the heck out of these things and they'll be fine. They do suffer a little bit more from cold weather and also in cold weather charging as well as fast charging. They're just not as good as the nickel, cobalt, manganese. But they're going to be putting that bipolar technology on a fully nickel battery. It looks like they're getting rid of the cobalt and manganese on this slide if you look down here. So that's pretty exciting. No one really wants that nasty cobalt in there. 2027, 2028, they're hoping to come out with this performance bipolar lithium-ion battery that will have over 540 miles of range. It will also cost a little bit less than this high-performance prismatic battery. So the benefits are it doesn't have the additional risky metals in there. It has insane range. It should charge really fast. Unfortunately, in theory, it could be very combustible, just like the current technologies out there. Solid-state batteries are a big question mark. We didn't get a lot of details on them. They're hoping to debut the first iteration of them in 2027 to 2028. That will give us the same sort of range as the performance bipolar setup, but it's going to cost a lot more. It does charge a lot faster. And it will be a very compact battery. It will be safer. It will be dense. It will charge better in cold climates. It will also hold its range better in cold climates. The only con to a solid state battery is, well, we got to wait for it to come out and it's going to cost a lot of money. But the next gen solid state batteries will have insane range. So we don't know when this thing will come out, maybe 2030 at the earliest, but we're seeing a 300% gain over what we have on the BZ4X in terms of range. So up to 750 miles if they want to put in that many batteries. I mean, they obviously don't need to, but I know there'll be some people out there that want to have the most range possible, but I think 500-mile range, guys, is going to be plenty on even models coming out in 2026. So if you appreciate my ridiculous spreadsheet, make sure to smash the like button. Akio Toyoda at Le Mans was talking about how he's been driving electric vehicle prototypes for Toyota. The only thing that's missing, he says, is the smell of gasoline because Toyota is implementing manual transmission cars with a clutch, and he absolutely loves it. So of course he's going to hype up his vehicles from his brand. But Toyota isn't done there. They're actually raking in the money from their own country of Japan. They almost got $1 billion. They're about 100 million short of $1 billion US from government aid so they can start building these next generation batteries that I just detailed. And Toyota will use this subsidy to expand their Prime Planet Energy and Solutions. That's a joint venture with Panasonic. Well, one of them. They have a much older joint venture with Panasonic as well that, has helped to the success of their hybrid models. And so the subsidy will go towards investments in developing and mass producing the bipolar lithium iron phosphate batteries I just talked about. Of course, it will help out the solid-state battery development. Really, it seems like Toyota's figured out solid-state batteries. They just haven't figured out how to mass produce them, but they seem to have overcome their longevity issues. So Toyota wants to have 1.5 million EVs in 2026 and 3.5 million by 2030. Let me know down below if you guys think Toyota will meet or exceed those numbers by 2030. That's a third of their portfolio, essentially, a little over, for 10 million vehicles. So a third of it to be fully battery electric by 2030. Do you think they can do it? They only produced 20,000 last year. So I want to go back to Tesla here because they had a lull, but now they're gaining traction again. So new registrations have risen 52% in the January through April period. And the Model Y, well over half of those registrations of 127,000 Model Ys for the first 4 months of the year. 50% is where Elon Musk wants to be for the company. 50% growth. From January through April, the Model Y had a 99% growth increase in new registrations over last year. The Model 3 grew by a fairly modest 28%. Model X, 15%, and the Model S sedans actually fell 67%. So looking at the first 4 months, the first third of the year comparisons for registrations, this is crazy. Model Y, 127,000, and the Model 3, 72,000. So let's just say that's 200,000 vehicles for Tesla. And then Chevy, maybe they're at 25, 30,000, something like that if you add all their EVs together. Volkswagen ID4 only at 11,000. But look, you got to look at the trajections because ID4 is about 3 times up compared to last year. The Bolt went from nothing to nearly 9,000. But rest in peace, Bolt and Bolt EUV, because it's had a tough history, especially with the battery recall on those things a couple of years back. And now they're canceling these affordable EVs so Chevy can build $100,000 massive brick electric pickup trucks out of the same plant. Even the Model X is outselling the Mach-E. And interestingly, the Mach-E sold more the first part of last year than it did this year. That is a backwards trend that I'm sure Ford is not happy about. Ioniq 5 has sold less vehicles this year. The Kia EV6 has sold less vehicles this year as well. So Tesla raging ahead with their growth, and no one can really keep up with them, at least in America. Of course, BYD is handing it to them over in China. I guess some good news here if you enjoy mining and the destruction of our Earth's crust, but the nickel surplus is soaring out of Indonesia. You can see this little graph here. It doesn't look like we'll be out of nickel or at a deficit until later in this decade. So in the meantime, we're at a surplus of nickel, and Indonesia keeps ramping up their output. So maybe that will help cost batteries come down as well. And this is one last thing I wanted to share with you guys. I still have the 4xe Grand Cherokee in the driveway. Really like that vehicle. It was a lot of fun and super nice. It's really expensive, so better be nice. But anyways, this is quite concerning. So what's going on? I'll just sum it up for you guys. Here are the CARB states. And the CARB states are in alignment with the California Air Resources Board. So they have extremely strict electric vehicle requirements as well as air pollution requirements compared to the rest of the United States, which run on the EPA's requirements. So what's going on is that Stellantis right now is only sending their plug-in hybrid models. The Wrangler, for example, I think is the only one we're talking about, but it could be the Grand Cherokee in the near future as well. But anyways, Stellantis is selling only plug-in hybrid Wranglers in these green states or the CARB states. And they're not sending any of the plug-in hybrid Wranglers to the rest of the states that are not in the green. So we're going to have issues of people who are in these green states who don't want plug-in hybrids, that the only way they can get a normal gas Wrangler is to go over to the next state. That's probably what they would first do, or set a specific order. And so they would have to custom order through the dealership to go and get a Wrangler. But I think most people are just going to hop over the border, especially if you live on the western end of Pennsylvania, etc. Or if you live in California, you just go over to Nevada or Arizona in the meantime and pick up your Wrangler that's not a plug-in hybrid, and vice versa. So if I'm in Florida and I'm not getting any plug-in Wranglers down here, I'm going to have to set an order unless I want to drive all the way up to these green states and drive a Wrangler plug-in hybrid back. So it's going to get messy, guys. This is just the first example of probably the messiest situation. You know, we do already see it going on. The Prius Prime, for example, are just getting heavily allocated to the West Coast and to the other CARB states, where these other states are just getting like a drip of inventory throughout the year, maybe a couple per dealership per year, where we're over on the West Coast, they're getting them in droves. The demand is still much higher than what they can give even on the West Coast for, let's say, the plug-in Prime models for the RAV4 and the Prius, but they still get precedence in these green states over the other states because of the emissions regulations and electric vehicle requirements. So I don't like what I see going on. I want, freedom of choice as much as possible in every state, but it is what it is. And I guess it gives me something to talk about and get something to get fired up about. There are much bigger problems to worry about in the world than having plug-in hybrids available or not available in a particular state. So I'm not going to get too worked up over it. Thank you guys for watching. I can't wait to see your comments down below on your thoughts if Toyota should or should not join Tesla with the NACS charging standard here in North America. All right, guys, catch you in the next one. Peace.